Thank you very much, President Peterson and Provost Bross. And thank you for your kind remarks, President Peterson, and particularly for your strong leadership of my alma mater in the years since I left the institution in 2008. It is nice to be back home. So faculty, graduates, families, friends, and distinguished guests, let me add my greetings to all of you on this very special day. It is humbling to receive an honorary doctorate from Georgia Tech, knowing the distinct honor that this represents. If you think about it, it took me 5 years to get my bachelor's and master's from Georgia Tech, but it took me about 50 years more to be awarded this degree. So I'm truly grateful. One, that you deem me worthy of such a recognition, and two, that I've survived long enough to be here to get it in person. For that, I have to thank my parents and good genes and luck for bringing me to this day. Let me add my congratulations to those of you today receiving your graduate degrees from Georgia Tech, an institution that's risen to the heights of national and global prominence only within the past few decades. My congratulations to the Board of Regents, President Peterson, the administration, the great faculty, and staff who've made it so. I am proud to have contributed during my time as president here. It's very rewarding, actually, to work for something you believe in, something you can all remember. Now, in addition to my BS and MS from Georgia Tech, I later added, as was noted, a PhD from UC Berkeley back in another time and another day in the 1960s. Now, I mentioned Berkeley since so much change was going on out there, as well as across the country, in what some people call the age of Aquarius. It was particularly an interesting time for a young man who had never been west of the Mississippi River. Various movements came and went, and the media and opportunistic politicians made the most of it. As to me, let me just say that my educational experience went beyond what I expected it to. One lesson learned, I want to leave this with you. Be sure you know which way the wind is blowing when the tear gas canisters are fired. In spite of all the seeming distractions, my time at Berkeley was a very special period in my life where I could undertake research with the simple pleasure of discovery being the only goal. I learned from an outstanding faculty who were working on the cutting edge of computer simulation and earthquake engineering. Now, back then, the world was smaller, but computers were bigger, and you had to feed them. Well, I know you all appreciate the power of the digital devices you have in your pocket, on your wrist, or in your glasses. Back then, I got my exercise every day by pedaling my bicycle over to the computer center in the middle of campus to drop off my program, which came in the form of a 2,000 card box of cards, punch cards. It was my fervent hope that someday, in the next day or two, my program would actually run. Now, some of you may not even know what a punch card is. I can tell you from experience, because I've been there, you can see one if you visit the Smithsonian's American History Museum. Think about it. Today, you really never get to physically see your program. But I did, and I gave it all the love that I could. Just think about what you missed. On the plus side of life in the slow lane back then, with no email, no Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or text to monopolize my time, I had time to make great friends, many of whom I've stayed in touch my entire life. After I undertook my own career as a faculty member, I had the privilege to conduct research with my own graduate students, and I advised 34 students to the completion of their PhD degree. These young men and women became like an extended family to my wife, Ann, and me, and we've remained in touch all these years. 2 years ago, we had a reunion at Glacier National Park where we spent more time talking about their children and grandchildren than about their careers. This summer, we're all getting together again on the Sonoma coast of California to drink a little wine and enjoy the coast. I take great pride in their accomplishments, many of whom are faculty members at distinguished universities today. I might have inspired them back then, but they definitely inspire me today. It's a lineage that keeps on giving. For example, one of my graduate students is Jean-Louis Chameau, who served here as chair of the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering, the dean of the College of Engineering, and then provost. who went on to become president of Caltech and who is now serving as president of the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. He advised many PhD students himself, and one of them is David Frost, a faculty member here in civil engineering. So you can think of David as my academic grandson. And not long ago, a young man introduced himself to me in New York City at a function as David's PhD student and told me he was my academic great-grandson. And that brought a smile to my face. Now, each of you graduates today has started down a road where the friendships you've made here will last a lifetime, and you'll look back on your time in this special environment as one of the best of your lives. So savor that time, remember that time. Your generation lives in a world my generation could barely imagine. According to IBM, we now create 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every 2 days. And in the last 5 years or so, we've learned there are over 2,000 planets in our galaxy that may harbor life. Not long ago, we had no proof there was water on other heavenly bodies. But the news is arriving almost every day of places where water, life-sustaining water, is being found. Some years back, we were astonished when the human genome was sequenced, but today we sequence hundreds of other life forms and thousands more are underway. Today, we're on the way to cure many forms of cancer, and microsurgery procedures produce miraculous results with short to almost zero stays in hospitals. I know about this personally, because only a few years ago, I had treatment for a rapid heartbeat that had plagued me for decades. And that was done in 2 hours, that procedure. After which I walked out of the hospital and went back to work the next day. No field is immune to this rapid pace of change. For example, every day we're enlightened by new insights about our culture and our history because of increased access to knowledge through digital technology and what is now known as the Internet of Things. All of this reflects a golden age for research and knowledge creation. Yet for all that's being accomplished, your generation faces new challenges that are globally connected and complex. Climate change is affecting all of our natural systems, something that I saw firsthand as I traveled around the world as the Secretary of the Smithsonian. Some would say we're at the risk of experiencing the 6th great extinction on Earth. This one caused by human beings, not natural causes or cataclysmic events. This even has been given a name, the age of the Anthropocene, or one where humans are making indelible marks on the face of the earth that will be seen 100 million years from now. Today, there are serious threats to the world's coral reefs. Our oceans are acidifying and sea levels are rising, causing us to rethink our ability to protect our coastal cities. We know that 75% of the diseases we're subject to, especially pandemics, come from zoonotic sources, and they can travel quickly from insects and animals into our cities. And in spite of all the exabytes of information we're swimming in, we find ourselves often falling short when it comes to understanding our world and its diversity. Finally, standardized tests show time and again that far too many people are uninformed about history and science, and our society is seeing an opportunity gap growing between the haves and the have-nots of our nation. Your generation is on the verge of the greatest discovery in the history of the human species. But your generation also faces challenges that are global and unprecedented, involving the fate of our species and our planet. Today's challenges will require work and wisdom if they are to be addressed successfully, and the clock is ticking. Of all the hominid species that have existed on Earth, only one now survives, Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens is Latin for man and wise. Are we truly wise enough to make the changes we need to keep our small blue planet viable for future generations of our kind and all the other creatures that depend on us for survival? Are we willing to make the hard choices and decisions needed to create a future we all hope can exist? Personally, I'm an optimist, and I believe that those of you leaving this campus today are ready to take on these issues your world faces no matter how large they are. The author F. Scott Fitzgerald once said, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind and retain the ability to function. One should," he said, for example, "be able to see that things are hopeless, but be determined to make them otherwise." He continued, "This philosophy fitted onto my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, and the often impossible come true." I hope you are leaving here equipped with that budding wisdom, because you indeed have a first-rate intelligence. I know you will use your first-rate intelligence and your wisdom to take on what might seem hopeless, implausible, or impossible, and make them otherwise. Make your children and your grandchildren proud, as we are proud of you here today. Again, my congratulations to all of you on your degrees, and my best wishes for your future. Thank you.